In this module, we'll be using layering to help us create new textures to put on SketchUp models. We can use layering, for example, to put logos on t-shirts. And I've done this on a lot of the school projects I've been working on. I'll have a school, and the school have a logo, and I have these SketchUp models, and I put the people in there, and I put the logo on them, and it's kind of cool. Again, the client looks at this kind of stuff and says, "Oh man, that's my logo. That's wonderful. I like that. Okay, let's go ahead and build." You know, that kind of stuff. So this is going to start with SketchUp, go into Photoshop, and go back into SketchUp, which is not unlike what I do some of the times, right, in our projects. Let's begin by opening this file in SketchUp. So if you take a look at it, I'm going to zoom up on this a second. Oh, okay. Oh, it's still okay there. These are really all the different planes that are making this particular model. All right. Remember, SketchUp doesn't have straight. It doesn't have curves. So anything that's curves is made up of straight lines. So all these are kind of the different pieces. We don't have to see this for this model. As a matter of fact, it probably is kind of in the way. So I'm going to go to View and take off Hidden Geometry. We don't need to see Hidden Geometry. Looks much better. All right. We don't need that other right now. We'll do a project where we'll use it, but for this project, for what we're doing here going forward, we don't need that. The next thing is you see these little jogs. These are the actual pieces of the model that they put together. It's almost like a jigsaw puzzle. So these are all different pieces of the puzzle that they put together. I don't need to see it. So I'm going to View, Edge Style. I'll take my edges and my profiles off. Okay. Honestly, that's I don't need to see it. So that looks pretty good. If we go to Window, Preferences, let's do this too. I'm going to be exporting out of SketchUp image files. If I'm going to export out image files, I need to go into an image program. If you export out without doing this next step, it'll take it to the default one, where in Windows, I think it's called Photo Viewer or something like that, which is not for what we're doing here. So I'll go to Window, Model, Preferences, and go to Applications. And here's where we can set our default image editor. Okay, so go to Window, Preferences, not Model Info, Preferences. And then in there, Applications, and here we go to hit Choose. And when you hit Choose, you go to where you have Photoshop installed. So it should be on the C drive, Program Files, Adobe Photoshop. Now yours is whatever the latest version is. So you're going to go. It's going to be like my PC. You're going to go to C drive, Program Files, Adobe, and you hit Open, and then go to Photoshop. Okay. And click OK. So now, when you export out the image, you should export out, and it'll go right into Photoshop, and then we can start editing it. So I'm going to use the Paint Bucket tool, and then I'm going to use the Alt key. If I hold down the Alt key, if I tap the Alt key, the Paint Bucket becomes the eyedropper. I can tap down the Alt key again, the Paint Bucket becomes the Paint Bucket. And we click on the surface. All right. And over here, you see something fun looking. All right, that's what it is. This surface is made up of this. So we're going to edit. Right, we've done this before in Paint Bucket. We're going to edit. And now I'm going to use this button right here to export out. This exports out the texture. And here it is. So this is the texture. This is the texture that is wrapped around the image to create what we see. So we can see that, and we can see that this particular image is laid out in such a way that the neckline is here. There's a neckline, and this is upside down. So when we put the logo of the Kirkwood K on here, we need to put it upside down too. We don't want to rotate this. We don't want to change this. We don't want to modify this in any way, shape, or form, because we can't then put it back onto the model. All right. So I'm not sure how programs export out these textures, other than these textures are here exported out. Okay. So I'm going to use this as my guide, right? To start with. So I'm going to do File. I'm going to import the Kirkwood K. File. Place embedded. Where is it? Place embedded. Place embedded. Okay. And inside the shirt logo project is our Kirkwood K. Place. Once it comes in, just press enter. Notice that we have a new layer. This is a smart object, so we can do some adjustments, but we can't do other adjustments, and we will not do any adjustments that will damage the image, which is kind of interesting. We can always go back to the original image if we need to, if we did a mistake or something, because it's a smart object. All right, so I'm going to use the move option, and then I'm going to either go edit, free transform, or just do Control plus T. So if I type in Control and T, I am in the free mode. And I'm just going to first I'm going to use this bullseye as a guide. That's what I'm going to do. I'm going to use the bullseye as a guide to put the graphic onto the shirt. And if I need to resize it, I don't think I do. This size is fine for what I have. It does have to go the other way. Otherwise, it'll come in upside down, which is not what I want. So if I put a cursor in the corner here, like right here, see how my cursor becomes double corner? I can click and drag to turn it. Or after I see it, it just changes the angle. Just changes the angle to 180. And now it's upside down. I might need to move it up a little bit though. Something like that. Press enter. Once you got like it where you like it, press enter. So I don't want that circle back there. I want to get rid of that. So I'm going to make the KCC main logo. I'm going to just take it off, not make it visible. I'm going to make the background be the active layer here. And some of the stuff I want to do is I want to destroy some of this because I don't really need it. I don't want it like that. So I need to make this background something I can modify. So I'm going to right click on here and select layer from background. Remember, I can also duplicate it if I want to. Now that might be something to consider if you ever want to go back to this particular graphic. What I'm going to do though is I'm going to put the Kirkwood K on that person, and then save as something else, so that the original model has this original texture, and the Kirkwood one has a different one. I'm going to go ahead and make it layer from background. Layer 0 is fine. So now the lock is gone. I'm ready. I can work with this. And we know how to get rid of something, or at least we can try it, right? Using this spot healing brush. So I'm just kind of go around with my spot healing brush. Okay. It's not going to be perfect maybe, but it's going to be something to start. When I let go of my cursor, that's pretty darn good, actually. I might need to, I'm clicking here and clicking here just a little bit. There. As far as I'm concerned, that's perfect. That is really perfect. That is what I expect to see. So the next thing is, I'm going to go ahead and put the Kirkwood K on there. And I guess the pink is okay, but I would probably see this Kirkwood K on a blue, believe it or not, right? Would you imagine that would be a better color, or gray maybe? And anything, that pink just looks like it's not quite what it would be or should be. Okay. So we know how to do that as well. I'm going to take that K out for now. We're going to go ahead and I'm going to select color range. And I took the K out to make sure I select the whole color range. Otherwise, it might select everything but the K area, even though it's not part of the picture, not part of the layer. So select color range. And what I'm going to do is put it at 18. I'm going to pick one of these colors in here. So I did. I picked one of the colors in there. And you can see I got some of it, but not all of it. I want this kind of low because I don't want to, by mistake, grab the skin or something like that, right? I don't want to do that. So I'm kind of low, and then I'll be more exacting. Now, I have this mode set. When I have this mode set, I am picking a new color. I've picked this color. I've already picked this color. Now I'm going to add to that color selection. I'm looking at spaces here where I'm a little dark. If I'm dark, it means that I don't have that color as part of my selection. So I come over here and I start clicking these other areas that are kind of like light gray or have some black in it. That looks pretty good because I need that over here. I'm gonna come in here too. I'm gonna maybe get some of these darker areas here. Right. I don't want to get the skin tone if I can avoid it. But I can get some of these dark areas. Okay. Now looking at this, I'm saying, okay, I got quite a bit of stuff here. So I must have gotten quite a bit of the stuff of this area here, and that I'll come back later and adjust it. I do want the pink here. That I want to be modified. But I've got some things here I need to get rid of, but I'll get rid of it as I go. It looks pretty good. I've got a lot of what I want. Click OK. So now I can see more clearly what I need to take care of. I don't need to worry about color select now. I need to just get in there and get the color kind of out. Deselect areas that I don't want. So I'm going to select the lasso tool. I'm going to select this button here. That's the deselect, right? And I can basically click and drag around the entire head, this area here. I know darn well I'm not going to want to have his hair be a different color. I'm going to shoot for a blue color. I'll give you that. And so anything that looks like is going to be selected, I'm going to just click around and deselect. Right? Like that's skin. That's not cloth. That's skin. That looks like that might be skin too. I don't know. That definitely looks like skin. And that definitely looks, that's going to be his feet. This is a shoe. This is a shoe, not a see it. So that's definitely skin. There's no cloth back there. That's this person's tattoo. So I think I'm going to have to click and drag this a little bit. Right? Which, by the way, I also did a model. I got rid of the tattoo. I figured it was a high school. I said high school kids don't need model tattoos necessarily. Or if they do have tattoos, I'm not sure what would be a good tattoo to have. I'm not sure. Bunch of Roses is a good tattoo for that, but we'll see. This here is questionable. I don't know how much of this is skin and how much of it is fabric. You know what I'm saying? Looks to me like this part here might be more of the skin wrapping around. So I'm going to do that. Same thing here. This is definitely skin color. So I'm going to kind of do that. So again, we're going to continually look at and evaluate what we're doing. In other words, I'm not saying, oh, that's the selection. That's what the computer says. It's good. I'm walking away. I'm kind of thinking about what is being selected. You know, because then we're turning blue. You're not going to have blue skin coming out of the socks, out of the shoes, unless it's socks, I guess. But okay, that looks like a really good, clean selection. I think we can work with that. We'll work on that. And then what I'm going to do then is I'm going to go ahead and go to my adjustments and select hue and saturation. The minute I do that, a mask is done, right? A mask comes into play. See the mask? And that mask is going to affect what's happening down below. So this particular property, this adjustment of hue and saturation is going to happen only in those white areas of this mask. Okay, sounds good. Let me put the Kirkwood K back on there again. And then let's maybe play with this. Let's get the hue. So if I go this way, oh, it's turning green. Yeah, I'm not sure if I want green. I think I need to go more blue. So I'm gonna go the other way. And sure enough, I'm starting to get some blues here. And I'm getting some good looking blues at this point. So now I can maybe make it darker, make it lighter, right? I can play with that. And also make it duller, maybe more of a kind of a darkish grayish blue. And then again, play it back and forth. This is similar to what we've done in the past with in SketchUp, where we're trying to tweak it to match a certain color. Kind of do the same thing. I'm just trying to get something that's close. Looking at this, get this. Looking at this, I'm seeing some other things. Wait a minute, I missed this. And notice in this mask, I missed this area. So it's going to look like it's got some pink threads coming out, which actually could be kind of cool looking. And I've seen some distressed fabrics that do that have that second color kind of peek up through. If that's what you're looking for, then that's great. But if that's not what you're looking for, then we have a problem. So I'm going to click on this mask here. I'm going to make sure we've got black and white as the element. I'll make sure white's on top. And then I'm going to use my brush. And I'm going to make sure mask is selected. I'm going to click. Look what's happening. See that? I'm clicking and dragging. I'm basically adding to the mask this area, so that I don't have these kind of pink spots, because these would come out pink spots next to the blue. So if you know that they're blue, now here I don't want to get too far, because if I get too far, the pants will get blue, right? So I don't want to do that. So I'll be careful. When I get to these edges that if they're not supposed to be blue, that's a problem. So I guess what I'm trying to say for this is that with the Photoshop, there are many ways to get into the piece and adjust it as necessary. Right? Be careful. I'm not too careful here, only because I've got that mask. I'm working on the mask, but the get this a little smaller here. But these pieces here, I'm just clicking and dragging, so I'm not going to be too worried. This black is going to be black no matter what. Okay, I think we got it. Sounds good. Because this mask is basically affecting anything here that is white is going to be painted or adjusted the color tone to be this blue, right? It's adjusting the blue. Okay. I think we've got it all here. All right, looking pretty good. I got a Kirkwood K that I think looks pretty good with this backdrop. When I did the hue and saturation, I selected it by color range, selected color range, and then I clicked on hue and adjustment, an adjustment layer, a hue and saturation adjustment layer. And when I did that, it automatically created a mask instead of me brushing the mask. So if you take a look at this, anything that's black is not going to be affected by this hue and saturation layer. So if I right now paint this black, it'll be back to that pink again, right? Right, because that's what this saturation, this is doing that. I'm using the brush tool in either black or white. So that's something else too, because if you use eraser tool, you're just erasing, and you're actually damaging the image. If I use an adjustment layer, that's not what's happening. I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to save this as a Photoshop file. So I'm going to do File, Save a Copy As. I'm going to do one as a Photoshop file. Okay, and I'm going to put it in my folder under my shirt logo folder, so I have it. And I'm just going to give it, you know, I was just going to say VCT people Photoshop, I guess. Hit save. Okay, so that's the first thing. And I have brought in Photoshop files into SketchUp, but I think it's better if I just go ahead and make this a JPEG. File, save a copy, and make sure it's JPEG. Again, put it into your folder here, your short logo folder. And I'm just going to make it. Now this one will call like VCT people -1 or something. So I'm going to make another one maybe, and so I want to make sure I've got the -1. Save. Whenever this comes up, I usually use 12 maximum. Okay. As long as you understand conceptually why we're doing what we're doing and how we got to where we were, so that you can do it yourself on another project, for example, for Jalissa, that would be great. And now we're going to minimize this, and we'll go back to here. So we still have this selected, right? If we don't, use your eyedropper, select it. We're still in edit mode. We took it out. Now we're going to come back and put it back in. So here's where we're going to click on to put it back in. And I'm going to go to my desktop. I'm going to go to my layer folder, so shirt logo. And I'm going to click on this one. This is the JPEG that I just created. Click open. And look, that guy's coming to Kirkwood. He's going to the interior design program. Isn't that cool? You can see how it kind of lays on the shirt. If we have light coming in here, you'll have shadows on it, just like you would as if it was the shirt. Okay. So in a sense, I mean, the color change and all that we did was to help you do this kind of stuff, right? I mean, I used a regular photograph, but you can see how we can apply it to this. All right, let's go back to Photoshop. Let's say I want another option, and I want the K in the corner, right? Like something like you have it look like a pocket or something like that in the corner. Well, what I'll do then is over here for the main logo, I'm going to right click and I'm going to duplicate the layer. So now we got two of them. I'm going to make one layer not visible. Now, of course, since we duplicated it, we still see this, but this is the copy. So I'm click on the copy here. And now I can go ahead and change it. So I'm going to do edit, pre-transform, or hit the Control T. And I'm just going to kind of go like this. Hold on. You might have to hold down the Shift key to keep the proportion. And then you can use the move and kind of move it up in this corner. Again, you got to remember, this is the neckline. So we got to keep that in track. Now, I know when I moved in this corner, there's some kind of folds here or shadows of folds here already. Press enter. Press enter here. Okay. Shadows of folds here already that you kind of see. We might want to have that expressed on that logo too. So when it goes on, it gives you more real as opposed to being slapped on. So for this logo, I may actually want to lower the opacity just a little bit. You know, you'll see some of that. You'll see some of that shading going on in there a little bit, just enough, just a little bit. And honestly, I mean, I'm not sure if let's go back. Would it really be so bright, stark white on that shirt? In reality, maybe this should also have been toned down a little bit, maybe. But I kind of like the way that looks. I think that looks pretty realistic there. You got the K in the low corner. We still have our logo. It's getting some of those shadow lines in there. Not big and bold, but it's still there. So I'm going to go ahead and call that good. Let's go File. I'm going to see here a second. It's called PCT People 2. Okay, I'll do File, Save As, or Save a Copy. Again, go to the desktop. Oh, sorry, wherever you put your shirt logo project. I'm going to call it a -2. And just save this. And so now we've got this here. So we brought in this logo here originally. I right-clicked on it, duplicate layer. I made a duplicate layer of it, made the original one not visible. The one that is visible, I did the transform on it and put it in the corner. I made sure that the top's here. And then I saved it out. All right. So back to here. Let's go again, open this up. Open this up. And go to the -2 is the one I called mine. And now, there we go. There we go, man. There it is. You can save this file, save as, and give it a different name, you know, number 2 or something like that. -2. I'm not sure if we actually overwrote the original file, so I'm going to hit undo on this one, and then hit a file, save as. Let's open up Steve Walking, file, open. Again, this model has those, you can see that. This is not as crisp or as clear an image. I think this is done by just regular people working on their scanner machines. You can see it's not the super clear project, but you know what? From this far away, it looks just fine. Let's go ahead and get rid of those lines, go to a view, take off hidden geometry. Looks great. There you go. I think it's fine. Again, from far away, you really can't tell. Really can't tell how crisp or not crisp something is. It's a little bit of that DPI that we talked about, the pixel per inch business. But you know, that's good. But look at this. He's also going to Kirkwood. How did that happen? Well, let's go to Photoshop. Again, I want you to just go to File, Open. And there's a Steve Walking Photoshop file. And this is how Steve opens up. In other words, I'm not sure how the computer programs basically flatten the textures so they can wrap them around the model. But this is how Steve gets flattened out. And so these are the parts that make Steve out. And it's kind of tricky, but there's the back right there, and there's the hood. And you can see that I had to create some sort of a mask so that part of the K is hidden. Also, brightness on this area here, so I can make some shading here. If you take a look, you see there is darkness here. And here's the original. The original one is just a plain back. There's nothing there. There is some darkness there. So when I put that K in there, I need to get that darkness of the K as well. And then I had to make the K duller. I just brought it down so it matched that dullness of the jacket, which is what I expect to see on that. So sometimes it's easy, sometimes not easy to get that K in there. Let's look at Wheelchair Man. Well, you don't have to look at it, but if you open up a Wheelchair Man, it's this person right here. This model was, again, this is from that same person that did that Steve Walking. He's got all these kind of people, which is kind of cool. Again, if you go back far enough, you can't tell what that model, that it might be kind of fuzzy, right? So here's a person, as I looked at the person, I said, my gosh, that person looks like he could be sitting in a wheelchair. And I need to have, for diversity and things like that, I need to have someone in a wheelchair, or for showing accessibility, right? Someone in a wheelchair. So I actually I found a wheelchair model from the 3D warehouse, which is really kind of nice. I put him in there, and there it is. Now he's in a wheelchair. All right. And I can use him. Now, he is kind of fuzzy, but when you put him in models, I mean, he might be fuzzy, but he's not any more fuzzy or less fuzzy than everybody else, right? So it's just something to consider, something to consider. But when you look at his picture and you take him out and you open it up and you unfold the graphics used, I really don't know how the computer did this, or how the person who designed this person did this, because, oh my gosh, the front of the shirt is broken up into two halves, right? And the back is, I think, 2 or 3 halves. I mean, it is crazy how this guy's been put together. How can we put a logo on this person and work with it? Well, let's take a pause here a second and look at another model. So let's open up this model. This person is man standing, I believe. Let's open that up in SketchUp. So if we go to SketchUp and we open up man stand, let's take a look at this model. So when I first looked at it, I said, well, that's amazing. Look at that shirt, blah, blah, blah. And then what I did was, I said, okay, so let's see how he does it. Click. And I realized, wait a minute. This person, the skin and the pants and the watch and all that, is on a texture that has a gray shirt. This person never had an Adidas front to his shirt. How did they get this front on this person? How did this happen? And so if you look at it and use your eyedropper and grab here, all of a sudden you're like, whoa, it's like a separate kind of shirt top, right? It's like a separate piece. Well, let's go ahead and take it out and let's work on it in Photoshop. It comes in as a background layer. Make sure your front and back is black and white, so that the background is 100% white. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to get rid of this and bring my own Kirkwood logo in. Now, looking at this Adidas, the top of the shirt is on the top of this rectangle. We got to remember that, right? We have to remember how it's going to be positioned onto the model, so when you bring something in, you can go ahead and do that. So I'm going to do Control A, that's select all. Control A, right? You can also go to select. I think if you go to select all, same thing. It says Control A. Everything's selected. And then hit the delete key on the keyboard. Hit the delete key on the keyboard. And when I do that, I can choose I'm going to do the background color, which is white, right? Click OK. So now basically this whole background, then we do Control D to deselect. This whole background is now white. And I can go, I'm going to be modifying it. I hit the delete key, and instead of deleting the whole image, because it's a background, it gives me different options. Okay, File, Place Embedded. Go back to our short logo project, go to the KCC logo, hit place, and right now just press enter. The K came in large, and we're gonna do the same thing. We're gonna put it like on the shirt, on the corner, not the whole piece. And this logo here, and you can either do it under under edit, free transform, or hold down the control key and T. Holding the control key and T gives us those grips. I'm going to shrink it up to what I think is about the right size for that. And I'm going to put it somewhere like, I guess like right here, I guess. Okay. I'm kind of eyeballing it a little bit, but it's going to be somewhere up there, up in that area. That's where I would see like a small logo. And if you're not careful, you could stretch it out of whack, right? Which is not what we want. And that's not what you'd want for a logo. A company logo wants to be a certain proportion always. But if you need to, sometimes it works automatically from the corner and it stays well. Sometimes it doesn't. For me, so I sometimes use when I do the transform, hold down the shift key. The shift key then keeps it in proportion for me. But if yours is doing it fine, then that's fine too. Also, once it's done, I can click the middle and kind of click and drag it where I want with my mouse. So when you have it played, press enter, and we're good. All right. And now the background is pure white. I guess I could have a white shirt, but let's say that's not really what we're wanting. So I'm gonna use my paint bucket. I click the paint bucket. That's what I want. And I'm gonna click this black, the upper level, the upper layer. And then I'll use my eyedropper and I'm gonna click on this color of blue right here. That's it. That's the blue of the K. This background is going to match really well with the letter. Click OK. And then I'm going to use my paint bucket. Make sure I go back to the background. Make sure background's active. And just, there it is. So there's a K in the corner. There's the rectangle, the color that we want to be. So let's save this file, save as, or save a copy. And I'm gonna call it KCC shirt or front, KCC front or something like that. Give it a name that makes sense. Okay. A JPEG, make it a JPEG. And then also let's do this file. Yeah, this file save as, or save a copy as a Photoshop file. So we're gonna save it as a Photoshop. It's always good to save as a Photoshop file. You never know when you need to go back to a project. Okay, KCC front. They're both the same name. KCC front. So let's go back, minimize this, go into this person, right? Hopefully you still have them standing. And now, just as before, we took that out this way. We're going to open this up and we're going to bring in KCC front JPEG. And look at that. The person's going to Kirkwood. Right? And so, and if you take a look at even the K and stuff, I mean, there's a little wrinkle, a bend of the shirt or something. Okay. So what's up with this? Well, how did they get this? Is there a pattern? There isn't. If we take a look, go to View, Hidden Geometry, look what they did. They actually drew a line separating two pieces of the triangle geometry here. These little different triangle geometries, and painted one white and one green. So this is a solid color green. This is a solid color dark green. So if we want to, we can keep the white there as part of our design. So let's go View, Hidden Geometry, take that out, remove that. Use the eyedropper tool here and select this green. Go to Edit. Right, so I did the eyedropper, right? Click. Go to Edit. And now I'll pick the color on the screen. That'll probably be better. And select that. Voila, everything that was light green is now that. And it looks a little bit off. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to maybe go click on the lightness down just a hair. Maybe the dullness down just a hair too. You want it to be kind of, I mean, it's going to have some differences because, right, light hits it differently. but you don't want it to be obviously a different color. So, and then for this green, again, you select, you grab this, edit, and this one, I'm just going to grab this one right here. Boom. Done. Okay. Do you not like the white stripes? Same thing. Select the white stripes, edit. You may want to, again, select some of these colors and play around the darkness and lightness a little bit to blend better. So to me, that looks like the person's wearing that shirt, and you got a logo on them. And what it is that they actually, that front was actually projected onto that person's body there. And we're going to do a similar event with our wheelchair person. Let's go to File, Open. You can say this if you want as Kirkwood Man or something like that. Open. Wheelchair, image wheelchair man. That's what I want you to open first. Okay, change the man standing. I'm not going to change mine. All right. So what we're doing is we are making an image of the shirt front, bring it into SketchUp. This is like we did in the window for the SketchUp class. The exercises we did before we're doing them again, and now we're adding the layer of Photoshop in. We bring that in there. We have the person, and I'm going to project this image onto that shirt. And when I do so, then I can, just like the other person, now I'm not worried about being across two different halves and how to line up the K and all that kind of stuff. One thing you want to make sure of is that this image, when you bring it into your models, is projected. So if I select the surface, right-click, texture, position, I want to make sure it says projected, and it does. I brought this in this way, and I made sure it was projected when I brought it in. Double-click into the model of the person, and then let's go to View, View Hinge Geometry, because we need to see all the little triangles. I can't just have, I have to have them this time. Now I've got to have these little triangles, so when I put this on here, it doesn't go over the whole body. I use my paint bucket. I hold down the Alt key to make it an eyedropper, and I click on this surface. It shows me the Kirkwood K, and now I'm going to zoom up here, and now with the eyedropper, I take off, I press Alt to take off, so it's just a paint bucket, and I start painting on the surface of the shirt. Now, we're not going to do the whole shirt, okay, but you're starting to see how it works. This is how you have to do it. You got to do one piece at a time, which is very time consuming. It's not impossible to do. It just takes time. Okay. Now I've done it. I've tried to do it sometimes. So I just kind of do a big rectangle and then paint it all at once like that. Right. So I select and then I paint. But what I find out though, is that if you're not careful, let's go View, Hinge Geometry, hide rest model. Look what I painted. I painted his butt. He's got a K on his butt now. And that's not what I want. That's not at all what we're looking for. And yet I didn't think about it because I was doing the front. So what you do then is you'd come back in and you actually have to click almost every single square. There's some things you can grab, maybe, I mean, I've done it where I grabbed it like, like kind of like that almost, and you can grab a few because I want the elbow, but you might get part of the arm, and then what? Okay, so we're not doing the whole person. Let's do File, Open, and let's open up Wheelchair KCC. And here it is. I did the whole person. So it's all done for you, all done well. And the shirt front is our K, and the rest of this is just a color. It's just a color, right? And it looks pretty good. Well, let's say I want to change out that shirt. I want a different design. We're going to bring a different design. So let's go to Photoshop. And I have a link. I have a link in the model and the lecture about sports apparel. This is interesting. I found this place, how they get these things. They got all this Kirkwood stuff everywhere. And I did copy one of these. If you just right click on one of these images and save as, you can save it. So if you want to, you can go to this link and pick a different one, or you can just do the one I did myself. It doesn't really matter. It's just a practice piece. And so in your folder, I have it. So if I go File, Place Embedded, in this, there's that logo 2. And there it is, press enter. So I want this to maybe fill up the whole piece here. So I'm going to use the move, and I'm going to move it up a little bit. I'm going to also maybe make it larger. So do Control T, and then hold the corner, and I'm going to make it, a good size, let's say. And it can be, press enter. It can be a little fuzzy. It's not bad that it's a little fuzzy. I mean, we're just down on it. But if you think about it, some of these prints on the fabric aren't that sharp either anyway. So it's not like we're doing something totally off kilter. I don't need my main logo anymore, so I can make that not visible. And the background, you know what? I might want to keep this blue background with that blue K. So I'm going to do this. I'm going to right-click on the background, and I'm going to duplicate the layer. So now I'll have 2 backgrounds, one that's blue and one that's not blue. In the background copy, I'm not going to make it not visible, so I know all I'm working with is the logo 2 and the background copy logo, background copy layer. So I'll click on this top color. I get my eyedropper again. I'm going to click on this white. We're going to make a white t-shirt. Not white, but like a kind of light gray. So I click in here, click OK. Then with my paint bucket, click the background. Now I've got a white shirt with a blue lettering, or light kind of gray. And if I want to, if I make this not visible, and make this visible and make this visible, I still have this one, don't I? Let's save this one, File, save a copy. I'm going to save it in the shirt logo folder, and I'm going to save it KCC front to JPEG. Right, KCC front JPEG. I can also save it as a PSD file, Photoshop file. All right, well, I think you know the routine here. We go to open up this folder, and I find this KCC, where are we? I think it's this one. Is it 2? Yeah, I think it's, oh, where'd it go? This one works too. I think this is the one we saved, believe it or not. And there it is. There's a shirt on his chest. And then I can select this blue, which is, and go edit, and then match color on screen, and then try and match it to the color on screen. And then we might need to, adjust the lightness a little bit, maybe the hue a little bit. But that looks pretty good. So now we've got another shirt, another Kirkwood shirt. If it doesn't look good, we go back to the picture, or if we want to make it larger or change it. This looks a little small, actually, but I might want to make it a little bit larger and fill up more of the shirt front. But we can do that. We know how to do that with that. Another one, let's go File, Open C Woman 032 free, the free one. And you can see here, well, here she is, right? This is a free model. It's a model from Access Design. I find the models from Access Designs, I can't seem to get the texture back on exactly right, but I did the same thing for her as I did for the man in the wheelchair. When you look at her patterning, I said to myself, it's going to be hard for me to somehow spread out that Kirkwood K and warp it so it fits onto her back, and then fits nicely onto her back, like it centers onto the back. And so what I did was the same thing. Open up the Kirkwood, the C Woman, I think Kirkwood. There she, okay, there she is. I kept the front of her dress, this area here, and then over here, there's her K. And then this was just painted color. So It's just a trick, something to do. It did take a while to get around here. I'm wondering if I should maybe come in a little bit with some of this. I might have to draw in some more lines. But you know what? From this far away, it looks just fine. And maybe that's all I need to worry about. The lecture portion of working with layers is completed now, and you can turn your attention to the layering assignment in the module.